The arrival of the EC380DL has capped the rebirth of Volvo's forestry carrier range. Now, in addition to the smaller EC250DL, mostly used in loading operations, and the EC300DL, which can be used for both loading and processing smaller wood, comes a machine that can harvest and process big wood. You can thank former logger and now product manager for Transdiesel, Ewan Southerly, for the existence of all three machines. After the earlier forestry carrier range was discontinued a few years back, Ewan kept telling the factory there was a real need for purpose-built forestry machines in New Zealand, and with backing from his counterparts in Canada, his persistence paid off. The first new EC380DL arrived late last year and went straight to work for Mike Harris Logging in the southernmost part of Kangaroa Forest, clearing up remnants of an old Douglas fir block. Weighing around 50 tonnes, including the Satco head, the Volvo is heavy enough to work with really big trees, and by big we're talking 7 tonnes and more. The EC380DL takes its base from the Volvo 450, a 40-tonne construction model, and marries the upper half of a standard EC380D construction model, along with a purpose-built forestry cab and extra heavy-duty boom and arm. The base is naturally high and wide with ground clearance of 700mm, so it can walk out into the cutover and not worry too much about slash and stumps. To provide extra stability, there's an additional 1.5 tonnes bolted onto the existing counterweight. Mike Harris says his new machine is around the same size as the old Volvo 460 excavator that it replaced. The difference is that the new one did not have to go into a workshop on arrival in New Zealand to receive a high and wide chassis and be guarded up. It was ready to go straight off the boat, apart from being fitted with the Satco head. Power comes from the standard EC380D Volvo engine, the D13HD unit built to Tier 3B specifications for our market. It delivers 218 kilowatts, 305 horsepower at 1700 RPM, and torque is a very impressive 1580 newton meters, peaking at just under 1300 RPM. And like most other Volvo machines we've come across in the forest, it's very economical, sipping just 27.9 litres per hour, according to Mike. Typically, the fuel consumption of a harvester or processor is usually in the 30s. Having a dedicated implement pump helps, and so does a hydraulic system that keeps the flow coming regardless of how hard the machine is working. When our iron tester Sean Field took the reins, he kept the Volvo working in the general mode, as recommended by Mike, and found it didn't need to be any higher. That certainly helps with fuel economy. Sean found the slew and lift very good, even with some big brutes in the jaws of the Satco 325T. And while we're talking about the head, he was also impressed with how it managed to run some very bent trees through the rollers thanks to the short distance between the knives and the rollers, which means there's less likelihood of the wood getting jammed. The 50-tonne weight keeps the machine firmly planted on the ground when falling these big trees, and the 360-degree rotation of the head allows the operator to select any direction in which to fall the stem. There's already another Volvo EC380DL in New Zealand which has just gone to work in Northland, and with these credentials, it's likely we'll see more.